I have Adam Jackson with me, part of the ESM team. In fact, he is the head of practice globally. So welcome, Adam. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Jacqueline. Thanks for setting this up. It's exciting to be talking about one of my big passions in life, which is enterprise service management. So yeah, as Jacqueline's mentioned there, we're going to talk to you today about enterprise service management, and in particular how Jira Service Management can come together within the Atlassian ecosystem to provide an end-to-end enterprise service management solution for organizations of all sizes. Knowing the difference between enterprise service management, ITIL and ITSM is one of the biggest challenges we have with organizations. So people find it confusing because they're having different terms thrown at them all the time. So ITIL, ITSM, ESM, what does it actually mean? Honest answer is it's all the same. So if you think about ITSM has always been known as the core focus from a service management perspective because IT have taken the lead from a ticketing platform arrangement. IT were generally, in most organizations that I've worked in, the first to have an actual ticketing platform, service request platform put in place. A lot of other departments that I worked with were still handling things over email. So if you think about the fact that enterprise service management is just the organizational nucleus that embodies IT service management, HR service management, payroll service management. The list is endless in terms of the departments that you see. So the first problem, as I've just touched on, from understanding if you need an ESM solution, is knowing what an ESM solution is. Some of the other problems we're seeing from an organizational perspective is we're seeing a lot of end users that are frustrated by the fact that they're having to put the same data into multiple different systems. And we've got an example a bit later on the talk where we cover a prime example of where that data management issue comes in. We're seeing organizations have a lot of focus, and indeed in the balanced scorecards, on user experience. Now, if you think about your user experience, it's most simple when you know you've got to use one system to do everything. Now, the problem we've got with a lot of organizations we deal with is their enterprise service management approach, although they wanted to be consistent, they've still got users having to go into different parts of their organization, different tools, different systems to put information into different places. So the core need that we see is this user confusion of where to go. The other one comes into tooling consolidation. I think we all know that most organizations in the world now have some form of digital transformation objective. And one of the core pillars of digital transformation is actually tooling consolidation. So having multiple tools to handle your service management organization is another prime example of why you might need an ESM solution. So data management, user experience, and tooling consolidation, three core pillars of what we see as reasons why enterprise service management solutions are needed. In terms of then, we looked at the mess there before in terms of ITIL, ITSM, ESM journeys all overlapping. The way that Jira Service Management comes into play in this area is it starts to act as a single service entry point. So you're not getting rid of the fact that you've got ITIL practices that can be flexed across your different departments. We know that in the past, ITIL, by definition, IT infrastructure library, or information technology infrastructure library, was synonymous with IT. But now we know that knowledge management, incident or case management, service request, SLM processes, problem management change, they're all replicating across your HR, payroll, finance departments. So ITIL, although originally it was IT, it is being flexed across different departments because it is a common way of working to deal with service issues. So ultimately, your single service entry point into your different processes leads to Jira Service Management and Confluence acting as that core pillar to transfer your information, transfer your data into your different back office functions. So it's a common service entry point into a single service platform into your repeatable departmental or back office departments to keep your organization running. Were there any
That's
questions or anything you want to run through on that one, Jacqueline?
yeah, actually, I do because that's really exciting that you have so many departments listed. Is there any department that you find like particularly that Jira Service Management can be particularly helpful?
So that's a really interesting question. We have in the past seen Jira Service Management be known as ultimately an IT ticketing tool. It's not been seen for the power that it actually has. So IT is a core example of where it's being used, but we're seeing more and more use cases where the likes of HR, finance, and procurement now are starting to use Jira Service Management because of all the powers that it's got and the linkages that's available. Um, One of the prime examples that we're seeing though is from a new joiners process. Um, it's no secret. And I worked actually in an organization where I supported new joiners. That was one of my first roles out of university, too long ago to remember now. But what we found was the amount of information and the chaotic flow of information, like we touched on earlier on, was really challenging. So if you're lucky and this is your joiners process, this is an internal system admin or an internal administrator. If you're unlucky, that's your new joiner. And that new joiner is passing data and information into several different departments. And sometimes it's the same bits of information into these several different departments. There's different forms. Again, if you're lucky, there's a portal. If you're unlucky, it's email, it's spreadsheet, it's Word documents. And these 7 different strands that we're representing on the screen today are leading to 7 different individuals processing the same information across the suppliers in the same way, but in different tools. Everything's segregated. So what we're seeing now, and the way that we've actually worked with some of our customers, is Jira Service Management essentially becomes the beginning, middle, and end of your service management interactions. So this diagram here, this is still your same end user, but I'm putting one piece of information into Jira Service Management. Jira Service Management can then be configured to ensure that only HR sees the HR data, only payroll sees the payroll data, only finance sees the finance data, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, that same information is flowing into the system once, and it's a single system with outputs to suppliers, with then processing by an administrator. So we're seeing huge benefits in customer satisfaction and user satisfaction, new joiner satisfaction. And for me, this is the prime example of how enterprise service management comes together. You look at all the different departments essentially working together in a single platform with segregated data to ensure protection of said data, but ultimately a single platform to manage.
My background is more in the Jira software area, but I know that when we were able to consolidate customers to a single instance of Jira software, it just saved so much time, so much money, so much heartache because there was only one system that we now had to update. And really, I don't think you can undersell how great it is to have all that information in one system. And obviously, it's going to save you money, right?
Completely agree. And that is one of the core benefits we're seeing. It's efficiency, it's satisfaction, and as you say, it's money at the end of the day that people are starting to save by having a single platform to deal with everything.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So let's talk about money because I know that's what the decisions that we make, right? I mean, that's what we're hired to do. So how can I save my department or my company money with using JSM as a single solution?
I mean, we've just touched on a prime example there before, and where I showed that previous slide of those 7 individuals acting and interacting with the same information. The consolidated approach is you can get that down to one individual because you're creating the right automations and workflows within the system, adding in things like AI to drive that information in the right direction. Now, we're not advocating to say now you can shrink your department or shrink your organizational headcount because you've got JSM in place, but you can divert them to more human-centric tasks. Let JSM and the automations and APIs that are there take control of the repeatable data and the information that can be handled there, so you can divert your workforce onto more revenue generating activity as well as cost saving activity. If you think as well, the kind of elephant in the room there is you might have several different ticketing systems, several different approaches to handling your new joiner process. So if we stay on that example, what you're then able to do is there's 7 different approaches or 7 potentially different systems will be licensed with 7 different organizations. There are also 7 different sets of admins, 7 different, and I know there's more organizational departments than 7, but we'll stick with that theme. By consolidating on Jira Service Management, what you're essentially doing is allowing your Jira administrators to handle everything in the same platform, meaning that if there are issues, they're all dealt with in the same place. It's one skill set, but also you're able to reduce the number of systems that you're actually using to that single source of truth for Jira Service Management.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, so lastly, AI is all the rage right now. How can we use AI in our new ESM solution? Tell us how we can leverage it.
This is one of my favorite questions that comes up all the time at the minute, as you can imagine, when I'm talking to customers. But ultimately, there's multiple different ways that AI is going to start to take shape. We're moving more from a ticketing platform and IT being a cost of business to it being a profit center. And the way that is being done is through things like AI operations. Now, AI operations is employing things like predictive analytics and automated diagnostics to come up with patterns and themes in the data that you've seen to be able to proactively and preemptively take action prior to a fault actually arising. So if you think about an IT/OT manufacturing environment, you might have a piece of equipment that is stamping pieces of metal. And that piece of equipment that is doing the stamping will have a certain number of presses or stamps before it actually fails. If you can use your data through your IT service management platform or your enterprise service management platform to predict when that might happen, not only can you send the part out automatically, you can also send someone to site to fit it. It reduces downtime and improves your efficiency to continue to manufacture the things that you need to do. If you think about that from a general sort of office-based scenario, and this was an example I had from a previous organization, which I won't name, there was a certain file drive that fell over every single Monday morning. And it was every single Monday morning without fail, this drive fell over. And this was the main drive that every user in the organization actually used. So what predictive analytics would be able to do, as well as some automated diagnostics through some third-party tooling, is actually turn around and predict that was going to fall over. And before that permanent fix was put in place, which I think they ended up replacing the full server, they had to reboot. So reboot it just about before it's about to fail. That way, the calls to the service desk stays down. The amount of time you're taking to actually investigate stays down. And all you've done is switch it off and switch it back on ultimately. And predictive analytics can take that place. If we narrow back down the Atlassian ecosystem, one of the most exciting things that I've seen come from any service management organization or tooling provider is Atlassian's Rovo, which is about to become general access later this year. Rovo can act across every single organizational department to gather data and insights and also provide basically advised steps, knowledge articles, and information to your end users to self-serve and understand the organization better. Now, we have lots of collateral available on Rovo, and we're very excited for that to launch. It's going to be included in our solution documentation as we build forward. But we are going to share our contact information later on with Jacqueline, so we will be happy to have a conversation around Rovo when people decide to reach out.
That is so exciting. I can just feel product managers everywhere rejoicing at the idea of less downtime, right?
That's it. Have you seen the video, Jacqueline, on LinkedIn that was posted? I think it was over the weekend, where it's Rovo. It's a really good Atlassian video, and it's talking about people are asking for things to be done, and it's like a person is in their office saying like, yeah, I'll just do that for you, and it does it instantly. But then later on the video, all of the people disappear, and it's just like Rover has helped to do all these things. It's a really good video. So if you get the chance to have a watch of that, and we can share that with his content when we send it out, because it's really, really, really cool the way they've done it.
Oh, that sounds amazing. No, I haven't seen it yet, but I will check it out. So thanks for that. Okay, well, Adam, thank you so much for coming and talking to us today. This was fantastic information. Again, we're Valiantis. We are a Platinum Solution partner. We can help you globally. We're at several locations throughout the globe. And if you want to reach out to Adam or I specifically, here's our contact information. Feel free to hit either one of us up. And we would love to hear from you, answer questions, whatever. So again, Adam, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy speaking to you, and I've enjoyed this session as well. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.